And you use a lot of work simulations, don't you, in
Yeah,
your day-to-day work? Could you describe what work simulations are for people who wouldn't be aware of
sure. I
that?
mean, we have some that are preset, but most of the time I'm asking my clients, even if I have an official job description, I'll ask my clients, what is your day-to-day typical day like for you? Start from the beginning and describe what you do the first thing you get in the office or at the workplace and how you progress throughout the day. And so we talk about that. And I tell them that I would like to see what it is that how their job challenges them. And can we try some of those things that might be similar and challenge your body or your brain in the same way that your job would challenge you? So that's the other thing that I think new grads probably shy away from because they say, well, I can't simulate that person's job here. Well, I try to correct them and I say, we're not going to simulate the job. You're going to simulate the demands of the job on the person. So for instance, if they have to do a lot of multitasking, then we'll give them the opportunity to work on one thing and get interrupted and switch back and forth and strategize for what can you do when this happens during your workday. So that would be a kind of one example. But we have some physical job simulations that we do that may be like lifting or carrying things or building things that tap into the cognitive components of their job and as well as their body. So, I mean, there's just so much to do. And I really like analyzing a person's job with them because usually then they will give you some things they're concerned about. And that's a good place to start. So if they already say, well, I'm really concerned about my ability to sustain computer use, then maybe we'll start there because they already have insight that they need to work on it. So maybe we'll start with something that they're concerned about, and that gives them a buy-in factor and the reason to keep coming back to therapy. So
Yeah, it makes therapy legitimate, doesn't it?
it does, yeah.
And kind of valid for their particular situation.
Yeah, I know before I got into the field of return to work and the Occupational Performance Center, there were some times when I worked in a job where the person didn't really want to do therapy, and we were going in to wake them up or like inpatient rehab or acute rehab, wake them up to do therapy. And some people didn't want therapy, but I find that in this line of work, people are motivated and they really want your help and they really want to come. So that's nice too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's the built-in motivation that if they keep coming and participate with you, they can have a pretty good shot at getting back to a paycheck again and taking care of their families and things like that.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty good motivation. So, but many years ago, you and I and Vicky Cascudas and Mary Seaton and a lot of other folks developed the structured work activity groups, the SWAGs.
Yeah.
Do you still use some of those from like 20
Yeah.
years ago?
Yeah, we do. And I still get to hear your voice every now and
In
then
what?
on the telephone messages and in conference room scheduling.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah. You and your wife. So, yeah, we still use some of those. We have a lot of them. I know what you and I started, and when you started putting together the packet with Vicky and Mary, they were all in this binder,
Mhm.
and they've all been converted to like online spreadsheets and documents, and I think it's really applicable to the day-to-day work that people do in their jobs to be able to do something with attention to detail on the computer or to kind of weigh the pros and cons in their head of scheduling someone on a different conference room. And so we use the telephone messages, conference room scheduling. I use the fines and replacement costs a lot for like someone who has to do spreadsheet work, putting formulas into a spreadsheet. It's really helpful, I think.
Is the doll chair something you still use?
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
I actually had a couple of firefighters using it the other day. I was working with them together. I had two firefighters at the same time because they have similar goals. And one of the things that they both have difficulties with is when they're in stressful environments, because then their fight or flight response kicks in too much. So I had them racing each other on who could do it faster. do the Dell chair faster. I had to take apart the model, but I had both of them doing one of them, and yeah. And they do that kind of stuff in their job. They said they're always fixing things around the firehouse and building things. And
So what you were trying to get at was whether the stress of the competition interfered with their ability to concentrate and problem solve and stuff like that.
right, yeah, or it just kicks up their vitals too much, their heart rate,
Oh, okay.
things like that. Yeah.
Were both of these people folks with concussions, or?
One of them has had a concussion, but that's not why he's here. They both. I have so many clients with long COVID,
Oh
and
my goodness!
that's yeah. They have long COVID, both of them.
Wow.
Yeah, got it on the job.
Tough, tough, tough. My goodness. Put themselves in harm's way and then pay the price for a long time.
Yeah,
Wow.
right. So, but yeah, I use the Dell chairs. Still use the nursing one that we came up with. I use that one for just because it has so much good information in it for like just report rounds and like, can you remember all of this stuff about your patient?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
and the nursing job is so challenging in terms of rapid serial switching, the kinds of things that, and the pressure and stress of the job that you really, I think when you're working in a static OT clinic where you're not challenging them, you're pretty much just guessing about whether or not they're ready to go back to work. So you have to challenge them like you do.
right. Well, we layer all of those activities. That structure work activity group, the swags you were talking about, we layer those all the time. Like, for instance, I have someone, that I'm giving them information about or simulated patient that they have in the hospital, and then I might be at the same time having them plan the meds for all of their patients, preparing the meds to go deliver them, and then they get interrupted with something about the patient wanting pain medicine or
Uh-huh. So it'd be like
uh,
a half-hour stressful experience of things just layered on top of each other then, huh?
yeah, right.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
great.
and the family member in room 2 wants to talk to you when you're finished and working memory challenges and things like that.
Do your clients ever think you're mean?
I try to make it fun. I try
But
to,
you're definitely more challenging than you would be in a normal OT clinic.
yeah. But the biggest compliment I can get is when my patient says, "Wow, this really felt like work." And
Hmm.
I'm like, "Yes, I did my job."
Yeah, I would have people complain to me when they first started a program. You're just making me work. Okay, you got the message. Are you going to come back tomorrow?
Right. Yeah. Are you ready? How do you feel? And
Yeah.
actually, coming back tomorrow would be helpful sometimes. But for the way insurance works, I don't usually see people more than once a week.
Yeah, that
So
is
then
tough.
but I might say to them, I want to know how you're feeling tomorrow. So you have to either call me or send me a message. Let me know how you're feeling
Oh,
because,
okay.
this might have worn you out so much. And I need to go back and put that in your notes so that I can, because we're just one little blip in time. Whereas a job is, 5 days in a row, usually 40 hours a week at least.
Hmm.
So you do have to do some extrapolating.
Hmm. But at least you get the next day recovery experience, which for so many people is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.